Oh, मेरे भाई.
Hello there. If you've been following us for some time, you might have realized that we have a koi pond towards the end of the property. Every year, this is actually a very natural, even though it's human-made, but everything is organic. We don't use any chemicals. The live koi fish live in it. So what you need to do is every year you have to get it cleaned. The cleaning process is almost a whole day job. What there are two gentlemen who are helping me right now to clean. So what they have done is they have this huge, um, say, a raised pond. They have moved the fish from the pond into this. They've also added the water from the pond into this. They are also running normal water into it because what they're trying to do is by the time they're done, they will add some beneficial bacteria, but they don't want to shock the fish. What happens is that whatever water we get from the town or from the state has chemical in it, and fish don't like chlorine and other chemicals. So what they're trying to do is to neutralize everything as humanly as possible. So use half and half. So as far as the chemicals are concerned, that you can get rid of most of them, and also the temperature. The temperature of the water which is coming through to the house will be very different than whatever the pond temperature was. And koi actually go into hibernation. You have to be super careful because I learned the hard way last year that we did our cleanup much earlier. The fish were still hibernating, and by the time we were done, some of them died. And the reason for the death was that they were still hibernating and they were not ready for that shock. So that was a lesson learned big time. We will buy some new fish this year. Last year, after losing all those fish, actually 4 of them, I just didn't have the heart to get more, but we will get more. I will show you the pond right now. It's already empty. There's a little bit of water. They're chucking out all the leaves which have fallen over the year, so because it was cleaned a year ago. So let's go and see how the pond looks right now. So this year, we have 2 gentlemen, Kai and Brian, who are helping us to clean the pond. And I will turn the camera around in a second and show you, but just to give an idea of how deep this pond is. It's, I think, around 3.5 feet deep. It has a couple of caves, and the reason for these caves is, I was told by the owner of the company, that it helps the fish, especially when it's too bright and they want to hide or they're scared of something. I will show you around what those man-made caves look like. As I said, they've already pulled most of the water out. Right now, what they're doing is getting rid of all the leaves and everything. Once they're done with this, the next step will be they'll power wash each and every piece of it. When we are done by later this afternoon or early evening, this pond will be so clean that you can almost feel like that you can drink water from it. But you shouldn't, because again, it has a live organic material in it. So let me show you around how the pond looks right now. So I don't know if you can tell the depth of the pond from here, but if we move the camera, pan the camera around and see Brian in there, see how deep it is. And this might give you how deep this pond is. The rocks over here, they were all hand-picked when 7 or 8 years ago this pond was done. And we will interview the gentleman who's the owner of the company, Mike Gannon, in the coming weeks, and we'll discuss the concept that went behind building this pond. The funny bit would be, by the time they're done and they fill everything with water, the pond will look much smaller. But at the time when they're cleaning everything out, and see, this is the point I was trying to express. Brian is using his hands to clean everything, and this is how they have done for years and years, or for the years I've had this pond. And once this is taken out, as I said, this will look like you can almost drink out of it. So this is the water they're pumping out of the pond right now. So they did fill the big tub, if you want to call it that, with water, and then running the water which is coming from our state. but the rest of it is being just dumped out. I typically ask them to put it in a way that water just goes on my grass, which naturally becomes a fertilizer for it, and I don't need to fertilize my grass anymore. So eventually, as I move it around, this is where the fish are right now. The pond is totally empty, as you just saw. And once they're done cleaning, they'll put this water back, they'll refill the rest with, again, as I said, with the water which comes through our pipeline. And then they'll put some beneficial bacteria, and then it'll be done. But there's a lot of hard work which has to go between now and by the time the pond is totally finished. So both the gentlemen have been working very diligently for the last few hours. They've already power washed everything, so you see how clean the rocks look now. And what they're doing right now is the pebbles which are there, that also tends to collect a lot of stuff over a year. So they're hand washing it. I think from here they try to pull all the water out which is underneath, and then I'm guessing in an hour or so they might be ready to start putting this together. Luckily, this is a pretty good day today. In the past years, it has happened that when they have arrived to clean, it's either a rainy or a super cold day. And I feel so bad for them because the protective gear they're wearing would just protect them from water. It would not protect them from cold. So it becomes a huge task physically during the early springtime period when they have to wash this. And I'm very happy that today at least it's sunny, it's not too cold, it's a nice day. The pond is clean now, they're filling the water up. So this is the source which is coming from that raised pot, whatever you want to call it, the tank, which is the old water. And over here, this is fresh water coming through to the hoses from our main line. You all can already see how clean it looks. What happens is when they fill this up, for the first few hours, it will be a bit muggy. But once the water starts running through the system and goes through the filtering process, it will clear out by the time later in this, actually early evening, not even later than that. I do not know if you can see all the way towards the end. That's a cave, and then there's a cave over here. You see the top of it. There are some plants from last year that look live right now, so hopefully they'll come back. The filtering system of this pond, if you can see that fake rock, that's where the water goes. Behind it, there's a piping system underneath, and what that does is that piping system goes into that waterfall, which I'll show you later when it's up and running. So I think a wonderful job done by the two gentlemen. They're having their well-deserved lunch right now, so I won't bug them too much, and we'll just see the end process in a little bit. So as you see, the pond is clean now. The water is filled. It's much cleaner than what it was before, but as I said earlier, once it goes through the filter a couple of times, it'll be much cleaner later by today. It took two gentlemen almost 4 hours to clean this out. So this is a long, tedious process. I'll just give you a rough idea. This is what it looks like. The koi are in there. As I mentioned earlier, in the next month or so, I'll be adding more koi to it, and we'll enjoy the pond for the rest of the summer. So as we end, a couple of things about koi. Koi and goldfish, they're both bottom feeders. Koi was really cloned in Japan, and goldfish is cloned in China, and this is why they're a bit different from each other, but the habits are quite close to each other. They self-support themselves quite easily. As I said, they hibernate during the winter. The reason the pond is as deep as it is for them to hibernate during winter. So they do go in hibernation. They don't eat anything, and they actually just sit in the bottom for almost a few months. My understanding is goldfish also works the same logic. I don't have any goldfish, but I'm thinking of planning to add some goldfish this year. Other than that, it's a lot of joy. Having a koi pond or a pond is just a lot of joy. Just the sound of water, seeing a fish, you just feed them a handful of fish food twice a day. You don't need to do too much. Even to the point, if you forget to feed them, there's enough material, organic material in the pond itself naturally that they can feed themselves. So I hope that you enjoyed all of this. As I always say, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.